everybody. Happy Christmas Eve Eve. Welcome. It's the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the safe space where we set oppression ablaze. And I think it's a good time of year to especially given the cold temperatures. My God, what are the temperatures where you are, especially if you are joining us from Los Estados Unidos? Let me tell you what the temperature here is in the DC area. It is 1 degree, one solitary degree, and I'm pretty sure that's with the wind chill factored in. We're looking at 43 mile per hour wind gusts right now. No snow. It rained a bit earlier when the temperatures were warmer, but then the temperatures plummeted very, very quickly. I have to say, I am concerned about the birds. There's like a bunch of birds in my neighborhood, and they kind of, populate the trees in and around my house. And when I listened to the birds this morning, I said the birds sound concerned. Like these are chirps of of we need to be executing a plan right now, and I'm hoping that the birds are doing all right, given that the temperatures have fallen so fast, so quickly, and are rather dangerous. So, big up to the birds. We thoughts and prayers to the birds on tonight, but. We've got a good show for you guys. Thank you all so much for deciding to check in with me tonight. So let me be kind of quick about this, since Will has let me know that he has he has Christmas he has holiday shopping that he has to do tonight. So we're gonna get through this rather quickly. So it's gonna be a mixed bag tonight, guys, because I've got good news. I've got not so good news. And then I've got a definite mixed bag at the end. So please, there will be no as much as I wish I personally could provide some sort of upliftment. I'm not there yet. I mean, I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic. I'm even probably a little bit more hopeful than I should be. I think I spoke about my unexplained burst of good premonitions of things to come, of victories to come, for the sort of battles that our folks are out here fighting, and we are out here fighting in our own way. Anyway, I do portend good things, but anyway, let me get to the show. First of all, thank you all so much for showing up. Big up to everyone that is checking in. Hey, Anna, what's up? My niece Alicia, peace. Vesper, what's going on? Wendy, hey, CB, Court. Hey, Court, Mod Love in here. There goes Nat. And, oh, what was I going to say? Thank you so much to Stren. Thank you, Stren, for your new patronage over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/BIDWKB. Somebody, oh, AH, thank you so much for your very generous cash app. What did you say in your message, AH? He said something like, or they said something like, I had told on myself. I had said something about my age over on Status Quo, and they hit me with a message like, "You're that old." I'm like, well, they didn't say that per se, not verbatim. They said it way nicer than I'm recalling it. But anyway, yeah, y'all know I don't give a goddamn about telling people how old I am, for the simple fact I am that age. Hey, man, like I can name a lot of folks who will not make it to see, or who have not made it to see 44. So like I'm cool with saying I'm 44. I'm not trying to pass for nothing else, nothing less. I'm just trying to, look, be the best 44-year-old I can be. I ain't trying to. I don't give a goddamn motherfuckers know how old I am. But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, all right, let me get to let's start off the show with some good news. What's up, Imani? Thank you for coming through tonight, sis. I see you in here, Stren. I see you, Tressa. I love to see it. Big up to Latifah V's in here. Thank you, Valley Girls. I appreciate you showing up, Nisi. And big up to my UK contingent is Ursula and or Damien in here. If so, hey, what's going on with y'all? Thank you guys for staying up late. if you guys are still up. So anyway, let me get to it. So some good news, guys. A story that I believe that I covered here on this platform when the story broke back in October of 2020. In fact, now that my marijuana cannabis addled brain, my brain that is full of resin, that be slowing up my synapses and my fucking thought process and shit, it literally just came to me. October of 2020. I was still at the Real News, and that's where I covered it, likely on Stir Crazy, because I was looking on my page and lives. I'm like, how come I can't find this when it happened live? But that's why, because I was on the Real News at the time. So, October of 2020, a 20-year-old man by the name of Karon Hylton Brown was riding on a moped down Georgia Avenue or in Northwest Washington, D.C., when he was followed too closely by officers from the Metropolitan Police Department. MPD is DC police for, I guess it's kind of like the London police, the Met, but they don't call it the Met here. They call them MPD, Metropolitan Police. Metropolitan Police Department was following this young man too closely. He was riding, and they were following him for the purpose because he was allegedly riding on the sidewalk and he was not wearing a helmet. So the Metropolitan Police Crime Suppression Unit decided to pursue this young black man to the point where he was trying to get away from them for a very obvious reasons. When his moped went into traffic and he was struck by a SUV, he later succumbed to his injuries very tragically. But what his family and activists in the DC area suspected is that there was a cover up, because the Metropolitan Police Department were very cagey with the fucking information pertaining to identifying Karan and notifying his family and making the body cam video and etc. and information pertaining to what happened that night accessible and transparent to Karan's family. And his mother has been very involved with this entire situation. So that happened October 2020 when this young man lost his life. September of 2021 is when it was announced that the two officers involved, were the one officer involved, Terence Sutton, and his supervisor were charged with they charged Sutton with second-degree murder, right? And this is historic, and I'm going to get into the ways in which this is historic, just those officers being charged, but the outcome also is quite historic. So I want us to a tad bit here get a little bit caught up in case you guys may not remember when I covered this. Maybe you weren't watching yet when I covered this. And I want to big up to Chuck Modiano, justice journalist. We're going to see some of Chuck's footage here in just a moment. But I want you guys to hear about the trial because the trial has been happening over the past, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks in DC. And it's been something. So I want to give you guys a little bit of a primer. See, I hear primer, I think of what you put on your face under your makeup. Or is it primer? I can never get that right. There's certain things I can never keep straight. That is one of them. So I want us to take a look at this package from WUSA 9 because the reporter here, I love the fact that he's got a little bit of a speech impediment going on because it does not detract from his storytelling at all. The storytelling has a little bit of zhuzh because he drags his s's a little bit and has a little bit of a slush mouth. I can dig it. I can dig it. I think it adds some flavor to the storytelling. So let's check out this package from WUSA 9 whilst the trial was in the middle of going on. Let's take a look at that.
Absolutely. Officer Terence Sutton charged with second-degree murder in the 2020 death of Karon Hylton Brown during a police chase. He's in the courtroom listening carefully, watching carefully as prosecutors open this case against him. Sutton's supervisor, Lieutenant Andrew Zabavsky, is on trial with him, accused of conspiracy to try and cover up what happened. A fiery start to a historic trial. With the victim's mother listening, prosecutor Ahmed Muqtada Bassett pointing at Officer Terence Sutton and telling jurors, that man right there murdered Karon Hylton Brown. He did it with his police car, with conscious disregard of the extreme danger of death or serious bodily injury.
Correct.
Hylton Brown's death caught on body-worn camera video. Lieutenant Andrew Zabavsky accused of conspiring with Sutton to cover up the 3-minute-long police pursuit before Hylton Brown rode his rented electric scooter in front of an SUV on Kennedy Street Northwest and was hit and killed. Allegedly starting the conspiracy even as Hylton Brown lay dying. Police chased him on suspicion of riding a scooter on the sidewalk and without a helmet.
Justice for Karon!
The young father's death in 2020 touched off days of protests and violent clashes between officers and demonstrators outside the 4th District Police Station in Northwest D.C. Even as the nation grappled with racial justice and the police murder of George Floyd.
My child was human. He didn't deserve that. He wasn't out here robbing and stealing and doing all that. No.
The police officers were part of a crime suppression unit, and their lawyers allege that Hylton Brown was in Brightwood Park to retaliate after an earlier dispute. Hylton Brown would be alive today, lawyer J. Michael Hannon told jurors, if he'd stopped his moped. He might have been arrested with a weapon, he might have been arrested with drugs, but he would be alive. The trial here expected to last about 3 weeks, possibly past Thanksgiving. And if Sutton is convicted of second-degree murder, he faces a maximum sentence of life in prison.
So that package from WUSA 9 here in Washington, and guys, be clear. So my apologies for not initially issuing a content warning. This is a content warning for police brutality, police murder, a community in pain. So I want us to kind of take a look back, and I'm about to play Chuck's footage right now. For I see the fan love, the love for Chuck Modiano in the chat. Chuck's a good dude out here. Very 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 good at the stuff that he in the stories that he covers. So this footage was from shortly after Karon was killed. And let's just go ahead and take a look at it because it's way more charged than the excerpt and the little clip snippet that Channel 9 just played in that package. So the clips that you guys are about to see are going to be charged with emotion, but I want to communicate the way that many in the city felt because this happened in 2020, as we all know what happened in 2020 nationwide. But DC police were like on a roll with like killing people, and the emotion that you're about to see, the anger, the fury that you're going to see in these clips, I feel really does a good job of conveying that. But I want to prep you because again, it is emotional. So, just a heads up, content warning, trigger warning. Will, let's take a look at what Chuck Modiano shot over those days.
I did not know she was going to do that.
This is a public building. My tax on the pay fucking bill. She can be anywhere she wants, bitch. You know you can't run. You black bitch.
They didn't lock Sutton up, but they locked me up. Justice for Karon! 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 Justice for Karon!
Yeah!
Justice for Karon! Justice for Karon! Justice for Karon! Justice for Karon! Justice for Karon!
Justice for Karon!
Justice for Karon!
Justice for Karon! Yeah!
Who keep us safe? Who keep us safe? Who keep us
Yeah, you guys see exactly what I mean. It was very, very highly charged, and the scenes that you saw just over the past minute, I suppose, were the protesters, including Karan's family. That was his mom, outside of the fourth precinct police district. They went to the police and brought all of that right there. So the energy has been there 100%. And you heard in that clip Karan's mom Karen say they locked me up, but they didn't lock Sutton up. Well, they did end up charging Officer Terence Sutton with second degree murder. I'm still like amazed that he was even charged with that. The first time in DC's history that a police officer on duty has been even charged with killing somebody while on duty. Well, you guys, this week there was a resolution. The trial came to an end after the jury deliberated, and both police officers, Sutton and his supervisor, were both found guilty. Found guilty. And apparently, as you guys can tell from the previous clips, that there are no cameras allowed in the courtroom. That's why you saw those courtroom sketches. So that's part of the reason I've been using reporters' clips or packages from the local TV show, the television news joints, because how else? I mean, I wasn't down there, but I want you guys to check out Channel 4. So we saw Channel 9 and we saw Chuck Modiano. Listen to how in disbelief Paul Wagner from Channel 4, the NBC affiliate, is, because apparently Karan's mom had what everybody could totally understand would be an outburst of emotions when she found out that her son's killers were actually going to possibly go to jail. And so anyway, I want you guys to listen to and check out this package. Just listen to how Paul Wagner describes it. I think he did a good job of surmising what none of us could actually see happen live in real time, but the reporter was there in the courtroom. So let's take a look at that package from NBC Washington.
It was highly emotional, and I've never seen anything quite like it, to be honest with you. Karon Hylton Brown's mother, Karon Hylton, who's been down here every day waiting for the verdict. As the verdicts were being read, she couldn't contain herself. She was jumping up and down in her seat. She was snapping her fingers. And then suddenly she jumped up and started screaming at the officers at the defense table. U.S. Marshals jumped up, grabbed her. The judge, Paul Friedman, jumped up, screamed, "Get her out, get her out." And then we understand outside she was accused of assaulting a U.S. Marshal and was put in handcuffs and taken away. So we don't have any reaction from her out here on the street. I can tell you this, when the verdict for second-degree murder was read, Terence Sutton, sitting at the defense table, lowered his head to the table as if in disbelief. The rest of the verdicts, as they were being read on Terence Sutton and Andrew Zabavsky, of the same reaction. Andrew Zabavsky, the lieutenant who was there accused of conspiracy and obstruction of justice, he had no obvious reaction to it. Sutton was the only one. Now, these officers have been on these GPS monitors, so they've been allowed to come and go. The prosecutor in the case asked that they be stepped back, or at least Sutton be stepped back, I should say. That is taken into custody, but the judge denied it, said they're not a flight risk. They are free to go until sentencing. Now, Terence Sutton was accused of second-degree murder. He was found guilty. Obstruction of justice as well, and also conspiracy. Andrew Zabavsky was found guilty of obstruction of justice and conspiracy. So the jury spent 4 full days trying to come to a conclusion on this case. They actually went out last Thursday, but it was just a partial day, and then they have spent 4 full days. They only sent one note. One other note in this case, I should say, is that this is an historic verdict here in the District of Columbia. No on-duty D.C. police officer was ever charged with murder, and this is now the first time an on-duty D.C. police officer was convicted of murder.
That sounds wild. like for the first time ever in the year 2022, December 2022, no less. It's the first time that an on duty DC police officer has ever been convicted of killing somebody. I would love to know the number total recorded and speculated of people killed, murdered by Metropolitan Police here in the district throughout the history of the existence of the Metropolitan Police Department. For this to be the first time for a police officer to be held accountable is very on brand for for the nation's capital as it portends to holding murderous police accountable. Okay, so let me give you guys an update real quick. If you could pop up that tweet, please, Will, from Harriet Streams. Let me give you an update about the status of Karon Hylton Brown's mother, Karen. In fact, Karen was released that same night despite charges being pressed against her. All charges were dropped, and Karen Hylton has been cleared of any wrongdoing. And Harriet Streams is a youth-led organization based in Washington D.C. They do mutual aid. They do a lot of good work, and they said that her arrest was unjust to begin with. And of course, me as a person that rejects respectability outright, forthright, front hand, backhand. If Karen Hylton wanted to hoop, holla, and carry on in the courtroom, especially given the weight of the news that the jury, decided to convict, which I'm sure nobody was expecting this conviction. Maybe Mrs. Hylton was. Maybe she did expect it. I didn't expect it at all. I'm just because hold on, let me back up. So there's been a spate of police involved shootings, like I said, over the past couple of years, especially since 2020, and even some shootings most recently here by federal agents. Two shootings. One recently within the past, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 weeks. A young man was killed by an FBI agent. I think it was in Metro Center, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was Gallery Place, which is a big hub on the DC Metro line. Like, and it happened around rush hour, and the whole circumstance behind this young man losing his life on a metro platform in front of a crowd of people, allegedly by this federal agent, is very, very higgy. In fact, his family is already publicly raising a lot of questions about that. Also, within the past month, an FBI agent who shot, but fortunately did not kill, another metro passenger, this time in Montgomery County, a jury acquitted that FBI agent of attempted murder. I was surprised that Montgomery County actually charged this FBI agent with something with a charge so serious, just righteously, in my opinion. But I was shocked about that attempted murder charge, but then equally shocked that the FBI agent had been acquitted. So we've had a spate of all of these sort of shootings, killings, specifically by agents of the state, both federal and city. And I was surprised that Sutton and Zabavsky or Zelensky, or I'm not sure, I can't remember his name, whoever the lieutenant was, got found guilty as well. But while people are celebrating, and they should be celebrating, I am a little cautious after I saw this in the Washington City paper. Will, if you could pop up that next tweet. Yes. Because the attorney representing police officer Eric Sutton actually sent a letter to the 4th District Police Department today. That is the district in which Sutton came from. They noted that his pending Rule 20 motion, okay, a Rule 20 motion that would allow for the judge to throw out the jury's verdict and acquit Sutton. That is something that this defense attorney has now submitted to the judge. And the fact that this judge didn't take Sutton and the lieutenant into immediate custody after the jury found them guilty, I found that a little troubling. I heard, what the reporter said, that he did not consider them to be a flight risk. Okay, but you just got convicted of second-degree murder, so maybe you should go to jail. Maybe the time to report the jail should be anytime after now. And big up to Washington City paper for reporting that. They actually even posted the letter that this defense attorney, yep, there it is, sent to the fourth district police officers, encouraging them that they need to start contributing to the police officers lawyer union or the lawyer fund, the legal defense fund, because I think as the reporter, or pardon me, the lawyer called it that the police are in like some sort of troubled times. We're in times of fraughtness with police officers actually being held accountable potentially for their actions. You got to contribute to this police legal defense fund, because it could be you next, should be you next. If you out here harassing people, killing people, creating a dangerous situation for a person who is at most committing a minor infraction, is it necessary to follow behind somebody who's riding a moped on the sidewalk? And this was at nighttime. And if I'm remembering this correctly, I believe that Officer Terence Sutton had a previous ongoing harassing encounters with Karon Hylton Brown. Like, because Sutton was assigned to the neighborhood in which Karon lived or frequented, they encountered each other quite a bit. And I believe that Karon's family said that Sutton had been harassing Karon over a period of years. Which is why I think the family was so incensed when it was Sutton specifically that was behind this, and then his lieutenant helped him to cover it up, as you heard there. So I I'm holding off my immediate celebratory put them pigs behind them jail cells. You know what I mean? Because we have seen higgy shit like this go down before, where a jury will render a verdict and yet a judge or some other sort of legal maneuvering will enter the fray, and then the opportunity for justice just got snatched from the jaws of defeat, right? Like it's about to go in people's favor, and then the American criminal justice system remembers who it's there to really protect, and it swoops in to do exactly that. So I'm calling this good news, but I'm calling it tempered good news until we get to sentencing. Until we get to sentencing, and we know exactly how long these cops are going to face for their role and their involvement in Karan's death. So there's that. Hey guys, it's the holiday season. And as you guys can easily remember, this year, women in America lost their bodily autonomy. Women in 26 states, is it 26 states? It's too many fucking states. Women in half the country, roundabout, more or less, do not have access to much needed medical services, such as abortion. So, what we are doing here on the Burn It Down with Kim Brown platform, we are supporting abortion funds, I guess until everybody gets until everybody gets their abortion rights back. I guess we're just I don't see a reason why we would stop doing this. My guess is that we'll probably end up hitting some other abortion funds. We end up featuring them more than once, but I don't really see a reason why we would stop featuring these abortion funds so long as the law of the land is the law of the land in this wayward fucking country that we live in. So this month we are supporting the Baltimore Abortion Fund. Even though the Baltimore Abortion Fund is very clearly based in Maryland, they are receiving so many clients coming from out of state, people coming from very long distances. And in addition to helping, offset some of the costs of the medical procedure on its own, part of what the Baltimore Abortion Fund does is to help with accommodations, with travel, with gas, potentially with childcare for people who really would like a say over the direction and the course of where their life goes themselves. I know it's a crazy thought. You can't have bitches, doing what the fuck they want out here. But I support bitches exactly doing that. Doing what the fuck we want out here. And if being pregnant is not an option, or if there is a medical reason why the pregnancy must come to a close, it doesn't really even matter what the fucking reason is. If you don't want to have a child, you should not be forced to have a child. So if you have a chance, support us with the Baltimore Abortion Fund. If you have just a few dollars, literally, like I think we've asking people to match us like $5. We as a channel contribute 50, but because I was slow in announcing it for November, we are supporting the Baltimore Abortion Fund for November and December with a $100 donation. So anything that you can spare to help pregnant people secure the medical treatments and medical care that they absolutely deserve, consider taking a moment to do that, please, and thank you. So this next story is the not so good news. So let me be mindful and give a content warning here for intimate partner violence, domestic violence, and tragically murder. And let me also say at the onset that people are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So let me say that. So I guess this was Wednesday morning. I get a call from my mom. My mom calls me saying, "You're not going to believe what I'm looking at." I said, "What are you looking at?" She said, "They have somebody that you know from childhood on Baltimore News right now, wanted for shooting their ex-partner." I couldn't believe it. I was a bit stunned, right? So, um tragically, the situation went from bad to worse, where the person who was shot, unfortunately and very tragically, ended up losing their life. And the person who accused of shooting the victim went on the run. And I want us to pick it up from there, okay? Because there's some updates here. Um, and I am just a bit bewildered at the fact that within a 12-month period, there are two men that I have been personally acquainted with at different points in my life who either killed their partners outright or have been accused of killing their partners. And I'm a little stuck with this shit, y'all. So let Channel 2 News there in Baltimore, WMAR, I used to work there back in the day. I'll let them tell the story and give the facts as has been released by the authorities thus far. So let's take a look.
A verbal argument gave way to gunshots here on Majesty Lane in Edgewood, leaving 46-year-old Keisha Blackwell critically injured and a gunman on the loose.
We know who the suspect is, and the victim was known to the suspect, so we believe this is an isolated incident at this time.
Less than 24 hours after the shooting, a marked police squad car remained across the street from the victim's home as the search continued for 42-year-old Jamar Wise of Towson. According to charging documents, Blackwell notified police about 2 weeks ago, notifying them that her soon-to-be ex-husband was still contacting her in violation of an active protective order. The couple had been separated since July, and that order, which went into effect in September, prohibited Wise from attempting to contact, harass, or abuse Blackwell. Wise also was ordered to surrender any firearms and claimed he had none. A neighbor who did not wish to be identified said police had made regular appearances at the victim's home in recent weeks, and Blackwell reported that she had been followed home by multiple unknown vehicles, even though she lives on a dead-end street, that she had ignored multiple calls and texts from Wise, and that he had even offered through relatives to pay her to drop misdemeanor charges he faced for violating the order. For all of the warning signs, the ongoing protective order ultimately failed to protect her. If you know anything about Wise's whereabouts, you're asked to call the police.
So the update on this story, very tragically, Keisha Blackwell succumbed to her injuries and she passed away. Jamar was apprehended not too far from the Maryland-Pennsylvania line in Hanover, Pennsylvania. He surrendered peacefully, I believe, to Harford County Sheriff's deputies. How do I know Jamar? I know Jamar since we was little kids. When I say little kids, I mean 3, 4, 5. Jamar's like 2 years younger than me. His mom and my mom used to kick it. They used to go out and hang out together, and either my older sibling or one of Jamar's relatives would sometimes be tasked with babysitting us. And we spent a lot of time together as little kids. His family member was our next door neighbor. Okay, so he would be over there a lot, and his family member's spouse ran a daycare in which I used to go to the daycare, and he would be there also. So I spent a lot of time with him in early childhood, and knew his family pretty well. Like I said, we were neighbors with his family. um if you guys remember, I said they apprehended him, right? So he surrendered peacefully. So okay, I just want to make sure I said that clearly. um I, I the fact that it was this time December when my high school classmate, my person who was on I was on the track team with, we was in school for all 4 years together in high school. Rajay, this time last year, Rajay murdered his pregnant girlfriend and then went to his ex-wife's house and killed her, then killed himself. It is very wild to me, and I don't know. I think pointing to I think looking at this and being like, well, Kim, maybe you just know wild dudes. I don't think that's the case, everybody. Um, I think that this issue of intimate partner violence and domestic violence and these situations resulting in people losing their lives, I just think this is just far more common and far more of a malignant issue that continues to let's keep going with that, metastasize in our society. And the fact is, it's so commonplace that we're just kind of used to it and we're just kind of numb to it. Like I said, I pay attention to these domestic violence stories. I see these joints across the country all the time. I bookmark them. I don't report them all because that's not. I want to say these women's names and uplift their stories as much as possible, but I don't know if I can do that without seriously depressing the hell out of everybody, right? Because I don't want you guys to come here, to feel bad or sad or down. That's not my intention, but I just feel sometimes compelled to talk about these things because number one, look first and foremost, I see it is my demographic that is being taken out here, and that scares me, and that scares me for other Black women, right? Period. It scares me for women generally, but specifically for Black women because I'm not sure how much everybody really cares, right? People just kind of look at it like, oh, that's just, I don't know, something that happens, or that's a tragedy. Let me say this: Keisha Blackwell was a mother of three, 46 years old, and by all accounts, she was doing everything within her actual power to put some distance between she and her ex-husband. She had a protective order in place, everybody, and he was reported to have violated that protective order, and he still showed up allegedly at her house, according to what Harford County sheriff deputies say. They say that he showed up at her house and shot her outside her home. And that's what he is accused of doing. And it's just so wild that, like I said, I don't claim that Jamar and I were friends as adults just because, people go their own directions. You don't keep in touch with everybody that you knew as a kid. But I knew him, and we knew each other. We grew up oh, in the same neighborhood, right? Played together. Used to my other friend who I've known, who lived on the other side of me, who I've known my whole life. We were talking about this last night. He was like, "Man, Jamar was the best, one of the best break dancers in all of the whole neighborhood. He used to spin on his head excellently, right?" And, when recounting what was going on, another person said to me, they were like, oh man, poor Jamar. I'm like, listen, I know we know him and knew him, but if he did what he is accused of doing, I'm sorry. I can't. My sympathy has limits for those that will use violence in order to achieve domestic violence specifically. Like there's violence in defense of yourself, and then there is violence when there is a documented pattern of violence and harassment, as is well documented online in court cases. So I'm telling y'all this, I think, in part to kind of vent, and then on one hand to just kind of in the most unfun way to be correct about something, to be right about something. Like, I'm not just saying this stuff, like, y'all, this stuff happens all the time. And if you really deep it, and I'm let me go to the chat here and just see what y'all are saying, but like, if you deep it, like, if y'all think about, do I know anybody that has been murdered, or do I know somebody that was um the perpetrator in a domestic violence incident? Chances are you may. And what does that say? What does that say about how often this happened? What does that say about the way that this crisis of a situation, of a problem, is being received generally by society? I feel as though, I'm not saying it. Well, I guess it is accepted. I was going to say, I'm not saying it's accepted like, oh, well, people who date crazy people. I mean, but like, we know what the stats are in gender-based violence, in domestic violence, and intimate partner violence, right? I mean, is it just accepted that some men are allowed to kill us? We just got to take that L because, that's one of the hazards of being in relationship. Like, I don't want that for anybody. I don't want that for anybody, regardless of who it is. But again, being that this is a black women led channel and platform, I center black women first and foremostly. I don't want that for us specifically. You know what I'm saying? Um, and the fact that I know two bros who killed, or alleged, one definitely killed, the other alleged to have killed, and I'm saying alleged here truly out of respect, because out of respect for his family, right? Because that, there's a long-term affection there. I've known these people for 40 years, you know what I'm saying? So I will say alleged out of respect, but it doesn't look good. It does not look good out here. And so when people find themselves in these situations, like, what do you tell them to do? Like, what was Keisha supposed to do? It sounded like she did everything. And at the end of the day, the police could not keep her safe. By the way, and as you heard in the report, as part of the protective order, he was supposed to have turned over all his guns. If it went down the way the police say it did, where did that gun come from? These gun laws don't mean shit, dog. I'm trying to, and apparently neither do these protective orders. And again, that's another thing I see as a common thread for these intimate partner violence situations that happen across the country. So a lot of these women, specifically these black women, will have protective orders in place. They will have protective orders in place, and they don't keep the women safe. So again, I wanted to send condolences going out to Keisha Blackwell's family. I'm so sorry that this happened. I'm so deeply sorry that this happened. And it's just knowing between this and what happened with Rajay this time last year, it's just really making me think and wonder, like, is anybody trying to get monsters? Is anyone trying to keep the monsters off of us? You know what I'm saying? Obviously the cops can't do it. I don't know if it's can't, I don't know if it's won't, I don't know. But what appears to be either antipathy from the community or just a sort of resignation that this is just a part of life. This is just what happens. I don't want that for the young girls and for the young non-binaries and for the young people. I don't want that for them. I want their abusers and people who would do them harm to be intervened way earlier in life, okay? Before they get to this point, somebody needs to intervene with them very early as possible, at the first indication that somebody might be capable of intimate partner violence. And again, that's across the gender spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew, I hate doing these stupid disclaimers, but I have to acknowledge it because I mean, I know it's the truth. I know chicks kill their dudes too, not at the same rates, but they do. Yeah. So before I get y'all out of here, I'm sorry, I avoided the chat. Let me go back to the chat. Thank you, Big Cat's Corner, for your super chat support. I appreciate your support generally. You guys, yeah. Let me look again. Do us a favor. You can follow us different places around the internet at BIDWKB, Instagram, Facebook. Hey, that's what I meant to ask you, Will. Are we on Twitch? What happened to our Twitch joint? It didn't look like we was streaming on Twitch. Well, I'll ask you about that later. You ain't got to talk. You ain't got to answer now. I just remembered that. But anyway, at BIDWKB, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, at Burn It Down KB on Twitter. You guys know where to find our cash links and everything. I'm not going to even ask y'all the money the day before Christmas Eve. Like, I am not that big of a jerk. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm not saying anyone that is asking for money, by the way, today is a jerk, but I'm just saying I am not that jerk. I'm not that jerk. So anyway, if you got something, you can find it. I'm not going to even say the shit, man, because I feel like that's tacky. It's like, hey, I know it's Christmas Eve. I know y'all got kids and shit. Y'all trying to travel and whatnot, but let me hold a couple dollars. Let me hold a couple dollars. The last thing I wanted to do very briefly is the airing of the grievances because, you know, out of the contribution to whatever the all American comedic lexicon that Seinfeld managed to offer up, one of the funniest damn things on that show was Ben Stiller's daddy doing the damn airing of the grievances as Mr. Costanza. Let me tell you, is his name? His name is not Jerry. Was it Jerry? Jerry Stiller? Am I saying that right? Hold on, let me go back to the chat. Because I know y'all know. Is it Jerry Stiller? Frank Stiller? Oh shit, I'm way behind. I'm telling you, Mr. Costanza, a prize. It's a prize to commodity. A prize to commodity. Yes, have Festivus for the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? For people who are not super religious, for people who may not be particularly getting down to Christmas or Hanukkah or even Kwanzaa for that matter, Festivus for the rest of us. Festivus for the rest of us. I'm telling you, Festivus for the rest of us landed. Like that hit me. I said, this makes sense. Mr. Oh, Shirley! Oh my God, Shirley just broke news. Shirley just said Tory Lanez found guilty. Oh my God. Because Shirley, did you know that I was going to mention that shit in the airing of the grievances? Not the verdict, because you just broke news to me, but I was going to talk about the way that Meghan has been treated. Oh my God. Deport him. Get him the fuck out of here. I don't care. I don't even care where he go to jail. Just get him the fuck out of here. Either put him under the American jail or send him to Canada to the nicer, cleaner jail. I don't care. Get him out of here. Thank God. But the problem is, well, let's start with that, with the airing of the grievances. Y'all, because who is they? They is everybody. They is everybody. They have been dogging Megan out here so bad, and you could totally expect it. Thank you, Jess Tess, for your super chat support. Was that Alicia? Who other person ran us some super chat support? Come on now, I can read that shit. What's up, Johnny? I appreciate you, honey, for your super chat. Thank you. Hold on, wait, Jess. Let me go back to Jess. Jess said, a little justice for Karan, Atiana, and Megan this week. All right. Thank you so much for that, Jess. Yeah. So anyway, the way that Megan Thee Stallion has been treated has been horrible. The way that motherfuckers with big platforms and big names have just come out here and popped off at her so fucking sideways, including 50 Cent, including Joe Button, who was the other fucking way with nigga Drake came out here, opened up his big yam. For what? Nigga, shut up. Y'all don't obviously care that this black woman was shot. Okay, like to 50 Cent, it was a whole big joke. He was he put up a dumbass meme. I'm not going to even show it because he's so goddamn childish. Like, sir, how are you 50 fucking years old, worth $1 billion, and you act like the fucking snotty nosed kid in the back of the 7th grade chemistry class that don't want to pay attention? Like, you are such a fucking kid. You get on my goddamn nerves with that fucking petty little dumb shit, like little boy shit, but I digress. So anyway, so all these big name people that come out and said all this shit about Megan, about how, or alluding to the fact that they say that she lied, even though Shirley, I know you said this in the chat the other night, and I meant to, big up when you said that, but if Megan lied about sleeping with Tory Lanez, but she did not lie about the shit on the stand. She was very truthful and very clear and very direct about her contradictory statements that she had provided to police, but she was very clear when she was on the stand, very true and accurate. Pop up that article, if you could, Wheel. It says Megan Thee Stallion hasn't gotten justice in the court of public opinion. Okay, and who wrote this? Shamira Ibrahim wrote this for BuzzFeed, and and Shamira makes a lot of very salient points, because even though this opinion piece was written before the verdict, which just came out tonight, she talks about how it really doesn't even matter if Tory Lanez is found innocent or guilty. It's not clear that, number one, Megan's career will be able to recover from this, though I believe that it will. But the other point is that the court of public opinion has already been widely wedged against her with a few dissenting voices. And let me include mine in that chorus of people that are going to pipe up for Meg. Because I don't feel like as though I'm just speaking up for her. I feel like I'm speaking up for every single black woman who has suffered violence and or abuse and was either disbelieved or had their reputation smeared or was just all around treated horribly when they themselves were the victim. They themselves were the ones harmed. So why are we dragging victims? Why are we trying to further inflict harm upon people who have already suffered trauma? Like, this shit doesn't make any sense to me, but it makes perfect sense when you get how deeply misogynistic this society is, period. And then when it comes specifically to black women, how deeply misogynoiristic, I'm gonna get it out, misogynoiristic, it gets deep. Because you thought they did Amber Heard dirty with the Johnny Depp shit. Dog, I am afraid to log on to social media right now, but I will, to see what the conversation is. Because I bet you it's going to be a bunch of Meg slander here, still a bunch of Meg hate. Why did she bring the black man down? Why was she trying to bring this brother down? What? One person had a handgun here, pointed it at the other, and pulled the trigger. Who was trying to take who down? Okay? He was trying to take her down permanently. And again, the little scraggly motherfucker is very fortunate that he wasn't charged with something more egregious, such as attempted murder, because again, I don't see how you could point a gun at somebody, shoot live bullets at them, and not be charged with attempted murder. Like, what? Oh, I guess she had to have been like more seriously injured, right? For a more serious charge to come about. So that was my first airing of the grievances, actually. Thank you so much, Shirley, for supplying with that news, because I'm glad, obviously I'm glad, but I'm not glad at the same time. I can't stand this mixed bag of news. I can't stand this half-ass fucking good news, because it's like, sure, on the surface is good, but the rug could get yanked out from up under us for the first piece of good purportedly good news I gave you, and then the conviction is good. But is Megan going to be treated any better? Are any black women coming forward when they are harmed? Will they be treated any better in the future? Because of course this is inevitable. All this, as proven by my second story, this shit happens all the time. It happens all the time, and motherfuckers really do not seem to care. And that's why I will overdo it for black women on this platform, because the rest of the fucking world underdoes it. They underdo it. They don't do it sufficiently. They don't do it loudly enough. They don't do it consistently enough. They have these ridiculous expectations about how people are supposed to come forward about the ways that they were hurt. And if there's some sort of flaw or perceived flaw with their character, well then, she lied about sleeping with them, but whatever. So everything that she says must be discredited. That's bullshit. Nobody is out here perfect, guys. Everybody fucking lies about something. And like I said on the last show, I don't blame Megan for lying about smashing that. I'd lie about that shit too. Like, yikes. she fell off her standards for a hot second. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what her standards are. Really, I think the sister anyway. I think Megan does need some self-confidence uplift, because girl, you are way too fine to be fucking with the nigga she was fucking with, in my opinion. In my opinion. So, if I were Megan Thee Stallion, let me tell you the caliber of men's that I would be dealing with, and it wouldn't be the nigga that's her boyfriend. It damn sure wouldn't be Tory Lanez or Ben Simmons. Jesus Christ. If I was as fine as Megan Thee Stallion, woo! I'd have my pick. And I wouldn't pick none of them niggas she fucking. Now, a one. But I'm sorry, I got off topic. Airing of the grievances. Let me get back. Will, hold on. 803. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna run through it real quick. Airing of the grievances. So let me mark this real quick. Edit point. I happen to be scrolling or flipping channels. I guess, do I call flipping channels scrolling now? I happen to be scrolling the cable channels one day this week, and I happened to just randomly land on the Drew Barrymore show, which I have never watched. But I watched it for a few minutes because President Joe Biden was on there with the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, and they were doing sort of like a newlyweds question and answer. You know, obviously this is not a very serious interview between the Bidens and Drew Barrymore. It was all very light and holiday at the White House, blah 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 blah. But they were doing like this newlyweds kind of Q&A. Well, I know some of y'all's old enough to remember the newlyweds. I am not newlyweds years old per se, but I used to see it come on in reruns. But regardless, so they were asking questions to the president about what were some of Dr. Biden's particular quirks. And why I'm putting this in airing of the grievances for this year is that I am tired of being saddled with white mediocrity at the very top of the white power structure. Like, I mean, you know, if whites are going to be in charge, at least put up the sharp whites, the sharpest whites you got. Okay. Joe Biden is in charge, and he is not what I would call the sharpest white. Not sharp white cheddar. There's nothing sharp. There's nothing sharp about what's happening here with Joe Biden, unfortunately. But I want you guys to see it, because I saw this, and I had to say, this shit made me laugh, and I fully expect YouTube and the Drew Barrymore show to ding this clip. So that's why I gave Will the previous edit point timestamp right there, so when they do ding us, he'll know exactly where to clip. But y'all, look at this, please.
Is starving and wants to be a little naughty. What snack does she get from the White House kitchen?
Why
I said snack. I don't want you to lose this one. A snack.
Probably something with avocado in it.
French fries.
Oh, French fries.
They.
But I think you consider wine a snack too.
Who doesn't, by the way?
So I'm not sure if it got cut off a little bit towards the beginning. So what Drew Barrymore asked, she said, when Dr. Biden wants to be a little bit naughty and get a snack from the White House kitchen, what's her go-to snack? And he said wine. I said wine. I said, is Dr. Biden lush, or does Joe Biden not understand the question as to what snack? Pop, snack. What does she like to eat? Not what does she like to drink? So either Joe was just outing Dr. Biden's, alcohol abuse issue, or Joey B is can't keep both hands on the wheel, which I suspect it's the latter, though it could be the former. Who can really say? And last but not least, my last errand of the grievances has to do with this clip I saw. Is this a real errand of the grievances? Or is this just random shit that I saw on the internet? I don't know. Well, I'm calling it errand of the grievances, so fuck it. It's going to be errand of the grievances tonight. So this clip I seen online last week, and it took me through a tiny bit of changes, because when I first saw it, I said, "Oh," and then I looked at it like, and then I saw, and then it concluded, and I said, "Oh, okay." Harlem rapper Jim Jones, Dipset. I wasn't too crazy about Dipset. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I was not too crazy about Dipset, but I am not going to say nothing against Harlem, because I'm not. I got respect for the Harlem streets, and I'm gonna keep my little petty ass comments to myself. But I want y'all to check out this clip that I seen of Jimmy out there in the streets looking out for a little sister. Kinda, mostly, yeah.
Yeah, baby girl. Come on, lemonade. We got the lemonade. $2. Come on, Will. Let's go, baby girl. Got the lemonade. Don't play with her. How much? $2.
I got 6. Share them with everybody here, baby.
Come on here. Here you go. Come where you turn. Come on. That pocket. Let's go. $2. Let's go. Come on, $2. Here.
I need one first 20. That's 20 on dice.
Grab a lemonade.
Go up, yo. 20 on dice.
Who else? Come on, cameraman. Get some of this stuff. Here, take some of this. Come on, here. Come on, lemonade, baby girl. Got the lemonade. Don't be shy in the back there. $2. Come on up. Bank stopper. Shop is closed.
Shop is over.
It's his. It's yours. These are yours.
That's it.
Now, whoever ain't get a lemonade, come on and take it. Yeah, baby love. You got that lemonade money. Give me some. Ain't nothing free in this world. Yeah.
All right. Now, like I said, when I first started to watch it, I said, "Oh, this is kind of heartwarming." But then, as it went on, I said, "Well, why is he helping her sell these one at a time?" I thought Jimmy was balling. Y'all remember that clip earlier this year where Jimmy was upset about the lack of service he was getting? Where was he at? Hermes? Was he in the Gucci store? Where the fuck was Jimmy that he was ready to drop 30,000 and was upset because the white folks wasn't giving them no goddamn customer service? And it's like, oh my God! But if you got it for Gucci and them, why you helping baby girl sell? You should have walked up on baby girl and just broke her off. Be like, hey, everything you got, just give it to me at 100 times the unit price, right? Whatever she's selling them for $2 a bottle. She was supposed to take her remaining inventory at twice, two times, 5 times, 10 times, 100 times, whatever she had left. Because he got it. If he had it for Gucci, he definitely should have had it for her. But you saw him pick it up towards the end. Like I saw the light bulb come on with the brums. And they was like, oh, let's just buy the rest of these and hand them out. Yes. So I like the fact, well, first of all, there's a couple things about this. I don't like the fact that under capitalism, our children feel the need to hustle. Okay, that is a problem. That is a huge issue within the way our system operates, or rather does not work. that little kids will recognize, the need financially in the household, or even the need for things that they just may want themselves, right? But they may obviously have a good understanding that their parents or guardians may not be able to provide those things for them. So the kids have the spirit of entrepreneurship and work and hustle, right? It sucks that our kids, any kid really, but especially black kids, got to be out there, quote unquote, hustling. Like, they condition us and they train us to hustle at a very early age, and I think that's very, very, very unfortunate. We should live in a society where kids should have access to all the things that they want, right? If there are activities that they want to do, if there is equipment that they need, it is materials that they need, they should not have to hustle for these things. They should not have to hustle to do fundraisers and raise money for equipment and for maintenance of fields and all that stuff. That stuff that should be provided to them by the state. By the state. The fuck we pay taxes for. And if you saw that them fucking pussy clots down there in Capitol Hill passed that 1.7 trillion, was it 1.7 trillion dollar budget where the Democrats approved for a record amount of money for the Pentagon? Was it $850 billion? And these kids got to get out here and sell lemonade. And then niggas like Jim Jones, and then niggas like Jim Jones who want to give up all of his Skrilla to the Euro couture houses. Anyway, but at the end he ended up doing a good thing, so there was that. So anyway, I had an airing of the grievances of the delay in which it took for the bruvs to put it together. that you don't got to sell baby girl lemonade one at a time. Just give her all the money for all of her shit, plus interest, plus this, plus that. Give her more than enough. Give her as much as you was gonna give Gucci, and give the lemonade to everybody around that wants some. So there's that. So anyway, gang, that is it. I want to thank you all so much for making some time for me tonight. Next Friday, we are doing our members only Ask Me Anything. Possibly, I might have a surprise for everybody, not just for the members, but the AMA is just for the members and for the patrons, allegedly, if my dumbass figure out how to push the buttons properly. But I might have a surprise for y'all next Friday, but I'll let that be a surprise should that turn out being a surprise. So anyway, I'm going to hop off of here. Please have a happy holidays, continued happy Hanukkah, happy festival of lights. If you celebrate Christmas, have a Merry Christmas on when is Christmas? Sunday. Have a Merry Christmas on Sunday. Kwanzaa starts Monday. Boop boop. So yeah. So happy holidays, everybody. We'll see y'all back here next week for Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Please remember that COVID is definitely still out here jumping on people. You do not want the COVID. If you've already had the COVID, you do not want the COVID again. So if you're doing indoor family gatherings or public gatherings over the holiday season, please mask whilst indoors. Wash your hands, social distance as best you can. If you are sick, stay your ass home. Stay home. Okay. Please and thank you. On behalf of Molly and Will, we thank you all so much. And we'll see y'all back here next week, everybody. See y'all later. Bye-bye. Have a good one. Bye.